الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: قال الله عز وجل: المتحابون في جلالي لهم منابر من نور يغبطهم النبيون والشهداء. The Prophet ﷺ said, those people who love one another for my sake will have members of light on the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those people. Okay, so we've talked about having love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how we need to make sure that within our own personalities we have to have that love for him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with all of them, they had this, and they had proven it. They proved it by actions. You know, like talk is cheap, isn't it? Anyone can say something, but you have to be able to prove it in some actions, because nowadays people have like an abstract feeling of love, or they're not clear. And we talked about how this shouldn't be the case with us, but it means to will something and obey and follow something. So love actually involves some actions, and you have to be able to prove it. So you know, like you get some people, they love the Prophet. So even yesterday when I was at the park, these brothers, I know for a fact, because I know their families, if I ask them, do you love the Prophet ﷺ? I know for a fact they will all say, yes, of course. I knock anybody out that says anything about the Prophet ﷺ. And at the same time, it does 10 swear words. The Prophet would knock you out, ﷺ, by the way you're talking. Right? So we have to make sure when we follow him how he should be followed. And you know, nads and nasheed are very good. So a brother who's close to me, he's got addicted to this song called Salatullah, and he's like singing it all the time. Nasheed, very nice, because the meaning of the song is sending salams upon the Prophet ﷺ. But that's not enough. You know, like some people, they think loving the Prophet ﷺ, you sing a beautiful naat or nasheed, that's the love sorted. I've got my pop album full of naat and nasheed, show my love for the Prophet ﷺ. That's not enough. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not enough. We have to prove it with some actions. So we have to prove it by following the Prophet ﷺ in how he lived. And he wasn't just a thobe and a hat. Thobe and a hat is nice, don't get me wrong. Miswak is very important. Shaitan stays away from you. You carry miswak in your pocket, shaitan doesn't come. But it's more than that. Loving and following the Prophet ﷺ is more than that. It's the whole package. It's the whole thing. It's his whole life, the whole way of life that he brought. That's what we need to love. And that's what we need to have. And the Sahaba proved it so many times. You know, there was one of the companions. He said, we had some hair of the Prophet ﷺ. You know the guy that I mentioned, by the way, Urwa bin Mas'ud. Him and another person, Suhail ibn Amr. These were the guys who opposed the Prophet ﷺ. They opposed him. Suhail ibn Amr, later on in life, he was found after Hajj going around picking up the hair clippings of the Prophet ﷺ and hiding them. You know, after you make Umrah or Hajj, you shave your head. And the Prophet shaved his head and chucked his hair. Suhail bin Amr, the same guy who opposed the Prophet, he was hiding, finding the hair and putting it in his pocket. He said, this hair is worth more to me than my family. Because if I die with this hair with me, I can't go in hellfire. That was their view. Like the Prophet ﷺ, he once had one of the companions, he says, and the companion, may Allah be pleased with him, did a favor for the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ goes, oh, what can I give you, what can I give you? So he gave him a stick. So he went back to his companion and said, the Prophet ﷺ gave me a stick. They said, after all that, he gave you a stick. Bro, I could have got a stick off the tree, just chop it off, give you a stick. Because they said, go and ask the Prophet ﷺ, what's special about this stick? There must be something special about this stick. So he goes, nah, man, I can't say that. The Prophet ﷺ's given me a gift, I've just got to accept it. Because no, go and ask him. You got a stick after doing all of that. You did all that effort and you get a stick as a gift. So he plucks up his courage and he goes to the Prophet ﷺ. Goes, Ya Rasulullah, I just got a question. Is there some special significance, special reason why you gave me a stick? Am I supposed to do something with it or something? And the Prophet ﷺ had a smile on his face and he said, this stick, my friend, when you die, ask the people to bury it with you. For on the day of judgment, when there are billions of people, I'll recognize you with that stick. Right? And he was like, aha. He goes back to his companion and goes, boys, you want to know what the stick is for? They was like, go on, tell us. He goes, the Prophet will recognize me by the stick. Where's your stick? And they were like, oh, okay. You understand? Their love was proven, so they got the evidence to prove it. Now, for us, how do we prove it? We have to make, and this is the hadith that it goes through, we have to prove our love and we have to make the Prophet ﷺ proud. On page 21, it gives a narration by Tariq bin Shihab. Al-Miqdad, on the famous Battle of Badr, when the Prophet ﷺ asked him, oh men, give me your advice. And Miqdad stood up, radiyallahu anhu, and he said, oh Prophet of Allah, we will not say to you, like Bani Israel said to Musa alayhi salam, that you go and fight. Rather, we will fight with you. On the side of you, from before you, from on the other side, wherever you go, we will follow you. By Allah, even if you walk into the sea, not a man of us will stay behind, we'll walk into the sea with you. The Prophet ﷺ saw this and his face lit up. He was so proud, so happy. And if we want to show our love for the Prophet ﷺ in our time, we have to do something which will make our Prophet ﷺ proud of us. How can we make him proud? We need to say, let these people that are doing insults against Islam, that think Islam is backward, that think Islam is something from the dark ages, let's show them that our love for the Prophet ﷺ, we won't abandon this deen. We won't abandon Islam because we love him and we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we will never abandon it. Even if the whole world turns against it, we will never abandon it. We will show that to the world. So that on the day of judgment, the Prophet ﷺ is proud of what we did and what we said. If we can't make the Prophet ﷺ proud, we won't gain that love. That Miqdad radiyallahu anh, what he got. And all the Sahaba, they said, I wish we could have been the hero of that. Why didn't I say that? You know, sometimes you get an opportunity and you miss it out. Why didn't I say that? There could have been any of the companions could have got up and said it, but Miqdad said it. We will fight till the last man. Let's make the Prophet ﷺ proud so that he loves us. The Prophet ﷺ, he also said, and Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anh narrates that the companions never used to, this is another thing, the companions never used to like him before he was the messenger of Allah. They said, oh Muhammad ﷺ, there was not a face more hated than your face. We hated you. But now, there is not a face in the world that can take your place. Now, what's the lesson that I'm trying to get from here? The love, it just, for us, it may be the case right now. We're sitting in this hall and we're thinking, you know what, we don't love the Prophet ﷺ enough. That's okay. These guys used to hate the Prophet ﷺ, and they ended up loving him more than we did. Which means that we can do it. That's what the example is for. We can love him. It's probably because one, we don't know enough about him. Two, we don't know how he lived enough. And three, we don't know the sacrifices properly that he prepared to do for us. But if we do this, we can love him. And this is something that we need to have. So Amr bin al-As, radiyallahu anhu, he said, and he explains, this is another example, similar to this. He goes, I fought the Prophet ﷺ at Badr, and I survived. I fought the Prophet ﷺ at Uhud, and I survived. I fought the Prophet ﷺ at Khandaq, and I survived. I fought the Prophet so many times. And by Allah, if I had died on any of those occasions, I would have been finished. But he goes, something happened. And he goes, I could sense that what he was on What Muhammad ﷺ was on was the truth. I could sense it. That how come us guys who are so powerful, so strong, so resourced, how come we can't beat him? There must be something. So because I began to change, that maybe this guy's on the truth. Maybe it's right. So I even realized that Mecca would be taken. So I moved out of Mecca, moved away from Mecca, because I thought, I don't really want to be there. It's my old home, and Muhammad ﷺ, he's going to take it over. I didn't really want to be there. I hated him that much. So Amr ibn al-As, he said, I went to move to Najashi, Abyssinia, and some of the Muslims were still living in Abyssinia. So Amr ibn al-As said to Najashi, he said, "Oh Najashi, give me permission to fight these Muslims in your land." Najashi gave him one backhand slap. One backhand slap. And he went, "Oh, what are you that for?" Because by Allah, if you ever mess with the Muslims in my land, then you're going to have to deal with me. I will finish you. That he goes, that slap that I got from Najashi made me love Islam. Because I just realized, here is a foreign king who loves the believers, loves the followers of Muhammad ﷺ, to the extent that he's prepared to slap his old friend in the face, who just given him a golden present. He goes, there must be something. He goes, that slap changed me. That slap made me turn around and head towards Mecca. And he goes, on the way I bumped into Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu, and he said, "Oh Khalid, where are you going?" He goes, "You know what, bruv? We're wrong. Muhammad ﷺ, he's right. Let's just admit it." And Amr bin al-As radiallahu anhu, he said, "You know what? You're right, we need to change." And both of them set off together to go and give shahada to the Prophet ﷺ, to change. Later on in life, Amr bin al-As radiallahu anhu, he says, if you were to ask me to describe the Prophet ﷺ's face, I couldn't do it. They said, why? Why not? He goes, because I was so in awe of him. I loved him that much. When he used to talk to me, I used to put my head down. So I never even looked at his face properly out of pure respect. That's how much I loved him. That's Amr bin al-As radiallahu anhu, the guy who wanted to kill the Prophet ﷺ. So he changed, which shows us we can change. We can build this love. And this part now I want to focus on. We should love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to. We have to love Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But as well as that, we have to love each other. We have to love the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have to love our ummah. This is something which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has obliged on us to do. That we have to love each other. And this involves many actions, and I'll just go through a few. But like sometimes you might have someone, you think, yeah, I don't really want to chat to the guy. It's not right. As Muslims, there should be a love between Muslims and one another. Even if you had some falling out, you should make up. Even people who are divorced, they should have a respect and a love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they remain Muslim. You might have someone who's like, you have some family feud or something, it doesn't matter. You have to forgive. You have to make up. That's the better person. The one who is greater in his love. That's the better person. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and the first 5 hadith and 1 ayah, all talk about those people on the Day of Judgment that will have a love for each other just because they're Muslim, will have a special place. To the extent that the prophets and the shuhada will be jealous of them. Not jealous that they want to be like them and wish that they weren't prophets and shuhada, but jealous that, check those guys out, they've got a special rank. They've got a special rank. That they'll say, those guys were awesome. Just like the Prophet ﷺ and all of the Anbiya and all of the Shuhada and all of the Salihin, all of them are awesome. They will recognize there will be some people, just because they loved each other for Allah's sake, they are awesome. They will recognize that. And they will say, look at them. Look how close they are. Look how close they are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a hadith. And the Prophet ﷺ has confirmed this in many. He said, يَغْبِتُهُمُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ يَغْبِت means that they recognize. You guys have got some talent there. You guys have got some special qualities. يَغْبِتُهُمْ, they recognize that. Now I want you to imagine, on the Day of Judgment, all of the Anbiya are all together. All 124,000 of them. All of the Shuhada are all together. All millions of them. All of the Salihin, they're all together. And they're looking at us thinking, check these ruffians out from the 21st century. Just because they loved each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at them. MashaAllah. And we were like, respectful. Why? Because they recognize us, we recognize them. Imagine the honor. Inshallah. Yeah, say inshallah, Allah give us that ability. Now, for us, you know, we have to think to ourselves, when we, you know, with each other, there are lots of challenges in this society, and you'll see there are some Muslims who are trying to stick to the deen. There may only be a few of them. There may be few in your school, in your college, in your university, at your workplace. Maybe one or two. But you know what? There has to be a special bond with them. So if you're not friends with them and they're practicing, you need to make an extra effort to make that friendship. You need to make that effort because they are the ones who will protect you from the Jahiliyyah. So you know what? We're going to do this series, I Learn Islam. And one of the brothers, I'll share it now, but it's a good, you know, good thing that they did. They played this game, dodgeball, where you got to get a ball and hit someone, right? So what they had was, they had one guy and 5 other people, and you got to hit him with a ball. And it's quite easy to hit the person with the ball, because they've got no defense, right? Then what we said is, we'll give you one friend to save you. So one friend goes in front of him, and you got to hit him. But that friend's defending him. He's stopping the ball from hitting him, right? But he still gets him every now and then, because it's 3 against 2. Then he goes, okay, I'll give you 2 friends to defend you. Now 2 friends create a shield. Now you can't hit him anymore. It's harder. You got to get through the gaps. You got to get through the shoulders. You got to get between the legs. You got to megs them, right? You got to find an opportunity to get them, because now he's got 2 shields. Now you put all 5 around him in form of shield, lock their arms together. Can you hit that person with the ball anymore? No, you can't, because now they've protected him from the harm. And the Muslims need to be like that. And these are some of the things that we'll be doing with the youth sessions, inshallah, to try to build some ideas of Islam that make them realize that if they make good friends, if they love the believers and the believers love them, it can protect them from harm without them even realizing. This is something that we need to have within our personalities. You know, for us, we have to, there's an example where, you know, a son and a mother, they're about to cross a dangerous lake, river. And the mother says to the son, hold my hand. And the son says, no, Mum, you hold my hand. So she said, what difference does it make if you hold my hand or if I hold your hand? And the son says, I know when I get scared, I will think about myself and I'll let go. But I know if you get scared, you love me more, you won't let go. Right? Because the mother's love is more than the child's. That's a fact. The mother's love is more than the child's. The Prophet has confirmed that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, you have to realize there are some people we have to learn to love. And one of the groups of people that we have to learn to love, like our mothers, like our fathers, like our brothers, like our sisters, like our nephews, grandparents, are Muslims. We have to learn to love each other for one another, because we will have a special rank on the Day of Judgment, inshallah. The second thing that we could do to increase our love is to make dua for one another. You know, when we make dua for dunya things, we make dua for specific things, don't we? Oh Allah, please give me a grade A in my maths AS level on Tuesday the 17th of June at 9:30 a.m. because make the questions on algebra and probability, because they are topics, Ya Allah, I've revised. I feel confident with those. Please Allah, avoid trigonometry and your du'as are so specific, because you want that thing. If I said to you now, have you made a specific du'a for the people of Rohingya and Burma? Have we made that du'a for them? A specific one, with time, with date, with need, with the particular ship, particular locations? If we haven't, then, and it's been in the news, it's the hot thing in the news, it's the one that's in front of our face, why not? Is it because we don't love them enough? Because they look a bit different from us? Because they're far away from us? Because we are too busy with our own life? Do you see? If we loved them, if we loved the believers, like the Prophet ﷺ loved the believers, we would have made a dua for them specifically. With specific wording, with specific need. Because they are the best du'as, the specific ones. Yeah, I'll tell you a story that I heard about a rich man, a poor man, and a Bedouin. The rich man wanted to go on Hajj. The poor man couldn't afford to go on Hajj. So the rich man said, you know what, come with me, bro, I'll pay for you. You can serve me along the way, do some jobs for me, I'll pay for you. So the poor man says, great, I get a Hajj. Excellent, I'll come with you. They go on their journey. On their journey to Hajj, they decide to stop at a tent of a Bedouin. After they stop at the tent of the Bedouin, the poor man dies. The poor man passes away. Obviously the rich man's very sad by this and decides, they do janazah, the Bedouin helps him with the janazah, and off they go on their journey. The rich man, on his way to journey, he sleeps another night, and in his sleep, he sees that the poor man has entered Jannah, and he's chilling in Jannah. He goes, what? How come? So he goes back to the Bedouin's tent, and he says to the Bedouin, he goes, what did you do? Because I had a dream that because of you, the poor man went to heaven, went to Jannah. What did you do? The Bedouin goes, La adri, I don't know. I didn't do anything, ma. Please, not me. Because no, you've done something. I had this dream, and in the dream, because of you, the poor man has got to heaven. So you must have done something. Because wallahi, I did nothing. All I did, I just gave you what I had, my water, my bread. I just gave that, and when he passed away, I made a dua for him. He goes, what was your dua? Was it in Arabic? Or he goes, I'm not very good. I don't know very many duas from the Quran. I don't know. I just made my dua in my words. Because what did you say in your dua? I want to know what you said in your dua. And the Bedouin says, I said in my dua, simple sentence. I said, oh Allah, this guest that died in my tent, I was generous to him. Oh Allah, he is now your guest. Please be generous to him. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. For that dua. Look at that. Please, oh Allah, he was my guest. I was generous to him. Ya Allah, he's now your guest. Please be generous to him. That was it. He just made a specific dua for that one person. How many of us honestly and truly make dua for Palestine regularly? Or make dua for those that are being corrupt in this society? Or those that are languishing in prisons? Or those that are fighting jihad? Or those that are in Iraq or in Syria? Genuinely make dua. We make dua for our dunya things all the time. We make dua for our kids all the time. But do we love to make dua for our ummah? Because we have to. We have to love it. We have to do it. If not, there's a problem. So we have to make some time for even making dua for them. And this is something that we need to build in our personalities. The third thing, we have to visit each other. In this society, everyone is so busy. The modern society, everyone is so timetabled, you never get a chance to do sporadic Islamic things. It's just so hard. It's like the barakah in our time is like sucked away. Allah withdraws it. Because we're so busy with our own things, we ain't got time for anybody else. By the time we've done our preparation, my ironing, my clothes, my shopping, my this, my that, we ain't got time to visit even someone who's ill. But the Prophet has said, if you love each other, you should visit one another. Not every day, not every week, but you should make time to visit one another. And I found this amazing example. one of the companions, Qayd bin Sa'd bin Ubadah, radiyallahu anhu, he became ill. And the brothers, his mates, his friends, they were slow to come and visit him. They knew that he was ill, but they didn't come to visit him. So he asked his family, goes, why are they not coming to visit me? I don't understand. Normally they know. They should come to visit. If someone's ill, they should visit. And they said, we found that because they owe you money, they feel a bit shy to come to visit you when you're ill because they owe you money. Qayd got so upset. He said, by Allah, may Allah disgrace money that prevents Muslims visiting each other. May Allah disgrace the money that makes brothers stop visiting each other. He said, send someone out in public now and tell them anyone who owes a debt to me is all cancelled. All my debts, I am cancelling all of them because this money is stopping them from visiting each other. I don't like this. Cancel all his debts. And he says, by night time, he had so many visitors from all his brothers, his temperature had gone down and he had regained full health. We know our time, we live this life, it's a bit crazy. We can't see our neighbors. They're next door. But I'm busy. How busy? But it's something we should do, something we should love to do, visit one another. And the hadith, a man went to visit his brother in another village. The angel came. Why are you going to visit this brother? Is it because you owe him some money? No, I don't owe him nothing. Is it because you owe him some favor? I don't owe him no favor. So why are you going to visit him? I am going to visit him because I love him. And the angel said, then know that I am a messenger from Allah and Allah loves you just like you love your brother. That's what we should be. We should love to do these things. It increases the love for one another. It increases the respect and love that we have for the Muslims. Meeting each other. We should meet each other with something that pleases. The brothers, they've got this hug. It's called the shoulder punch hug. So you stand up, they give a hug, and they actually, youth, they do it all the time. They give a hug, but it's not the chest. It's not the chest to chest hug. The Arabs are good at this. They'll give a proper chest to chest, kiss to kiss, rub to rub, headlock. They'll do the full whack, right? But the modern day hug for brotherly love is actually quite painful. It's quite distant. It's not very warm, right? The Prophet ﷺ said the best person, the one who is most loved, is the one who greets his brother with the better thing. So, we should smile. How many times you walk past a brother and it's there's not even a smile? Or even sisters walk past each other and they have a snigger about the way they're wearing their jilbab or their hijab. Smile, for God's sakes. You can smile, that may soften someone's heart to Islam. Smile. Brothers, please smile. Understand? You're do I have to? Yeah, you should do. You can smile. It's something which increases the love. It's something which makes each other feel more warm with one another. And it's again another action we should have within our personalities. The next one is giving gifts. And please, from a personal perspective, if you would like to give me gifts in any way, I am more than happy to take them, because it is a sunnah and a great sunnah. Obviously I should give as well, but to give gifts increase the love, isn't it? So the Prophet ﷺ was known to give gifts, take gifts, give gifts, take gifts. So there's one example that I love sharing with this. The Prophet ﷺ was sat with his companions. I think I might have given it, but I'll give it anyway. He was sat with his companions. And an old man came with I would describe them as hospital grapes. Hospital grapes, the ones that are they're not crunchy, they're a bit yellowy, moldy, they've been in the bag so long, you bite them, it's ugh, it's actually not very nice, right? So this old man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he brought a pouch of grapes. And the Sahaba all sat there, goes, Ya Rasulullah, I brought you a present. And the Prophet ﷺ goes, Jazakallah khair, beautiful. Takes one. Excellent. Takes another one. Subhanallah. Everyone. Finished all of them. And the old man's looking there, getting happier. And the Prophet goes, finished all the grapes. And the Prophet goes, may Allah bless you, subhanallah, may Allah increase your rizq, bless your life and give you strength in your old age. And the old man was so happy, he got up and left the gathering. The Sahaba was sat there and they were like, we have to ask you this. You never gave us a single grape. Normally you share the grapes. What's all that about? You sat there in front of us eating every single grape from the bag. That's not very nice. That's not very caring and sharing. We are your ashab. The Prophet goes, I tasted the first grape and it tasted so horrible, I thought if you guys taste this, you're going to hurt the old man's feelings. So I ate every single grape to accept that old man's gift, so he wouldn't be hurt. And they just were like, whoa. That's why we should love him. Subhanallah, yeah? That's why we should love him. He did this just to save the old man from having a broken heart. And the Sahaba were in awe of this, that you are the messenger of Allah. There can be nobody else. You are the chosen one. Right? But you can see, even in the giving and taking of gifts, how they built love as a result of this. So this is something that we need to have. And doesn't matter who, in the eyes of Allah, there is none of us are better than each other. Right? Not in terms of knowledge, not in terms of action, because the one who is the best, inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, the one with most taqwa. And we can't judge that in this world. So if someone and the example that he gives in the booklet, the Ansar were always giving. They gave everything to the Muhajir. Gave them their house, gave them their gardens, gave them their property, gave them their money, gave them everything. Gave them, prepared to give their wives, everything. And the Muhajirin were like, the Ansar have taken all the reward. They've taken all the reward. We can't do anything for them. The Prophet says, do you make dua for them? They said, yes, we make dua for them. Because then that's enough. That pays it back. So what? They give us everything and we just make dua for them, that pays it back? Yes, that pays it back. So anyone who does anything for you, you must thank them. You must make shukr to them. And I'm not talking just any. Your mum does something for you, thank her. Your dad does something for you, thank him. Your child does something for you, thank them. Your neighbor does something for you, thank them. Your colleague does something for you, thank them. Ramadan is coming up. And this is something we have to, one of the last ayahs about Ramadan is to make us do what? Make us become what kind of people? Thankful. Thankful. That we become people who are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything that He's given us. For everything that He's done for us. Right? This is one of the aims of Ramadan in the upcoming month. May Allah give us the ability to witness it and do it properly. That's one of the aims, that we become one of those people. So, for us, we have to make sure, the last point, which is, we have to love our brothers so much that we should be prepared to intercede for them, to defend them, do something for them. So like the Muslims, they are labeled as extremists, they are labeled as terrorists, they are labeled as backward, they are labeled as not fitting in. We have to defend them. We have to join with other Muslims and defend our brothers and sisters from all over the world and the campaign against them. Something that we have to do. Because the Prophet ﷺ says, the one who has a connection for his Muslims to anyone in authority, or he relieves a harm from the Muslims, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not block his feet from crossing the bridge. Right? Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he gives an example. He was in i'tikaf. And I chose this example for Ramadan. He was in i'tikaf. And one Muslim, he says, I've got a problem. I need some help. And Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said, come, I'll go with you. And he said, yeah, but you're in ittikaf. How can we go if you're in ittikaf? He says, by Allah, I heard that if I can go and attend the need of a Muslim, help another Muslim, then that is worth 10 years of ittikaf. And in another narration, 2 months of ittikaf. So someone who helps another Muslim gets the reward of an ittikaf. So these actions, if we do them, and we love to do them, they will make us love Islam, love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam even more. It will make us increase our love for one another, increase our love for the believers, increase our love for this deen, and increase our love for us wanting to be one again. Right? Living under the shade of Islam. This is something that we have to have within our personalities. And I'll finish with a couple of examples to think about. One, to love the Prophet ﷺ, we should know 3 things. One, we should know his physical attributes. What did he look like? How tall was he? What was his face like? You know, like in this world, you can love someone for how they look. Someone looks beautiful, someone looks cute, someone looks handsome, someone looks pretty, someone looks nice. It's a first connection, isn't it? The second thing, what's their values like? That's the second thing you need to know. What's their personalities like? What's their morals like? What's their behavior like? What's their attitudes like? You have to know that. So with our Prophet ﷺ, one thing is to know what he looked like and fall in love with him like that. The second thing is to know what he was like, his actions, like he did with the grapes. And you fall in love with him even more. The third level is to appreciate how much he sacrificed for us. So like I love Shamran. I love how he looks. He looks like a believer. Genuinely, isn't it? He's very cute, right? Because he's like, out of his brothers, he's like the cute one. Obviously there's other brothers, they are nice as well. But that's why I like him. But I also like his attitude and his values and the way he behaves and the way he acts and his generosity. I like them, right? But I also know and I also love him because of the things that he sacrificed so many times to help me, right? Because he sacrificed his own pleasure, his own time, his own money to help me. It increased my love for him. The Prophet ﷺ, if you know his physical attributes, you know what he lived like, and you knew what he sacrificed for us, you will have a solid love for him. When the Prophet ﷺ, and I'll just give this example, when the Muslims were going from Mecca to Medina, they were traveling there and it was a happy moment. They were going to take over Mecca. Happy moment. He got to a place on the journey and he went away for a bit. And he crouched over a grave and he just cried. And he sobbed and he sobbed and he cried until the companions, they came and they're like wondering what's going on. So Abu Bakr looked at Umar Khattab and said, what is it? So Umar Khattab says, we looked at each other with bewilderment. Where is this place? In the middle of the desert. Where is this place? We don't even know what it is. And he's standing there and he's sobbing. It's narrated he was crouched down next to the grave. Umar Khattab comes from behind and when someone's crying, he lifts him up. Because Ya Rasulullah, get up, it's okay, what's wrong? Hugs him, comforts him, turns him round, puts his chest in his chest and goes, Ya Rasulullah, what's wrong? And the Prophet ﷺ could not stop crying. Remember, he's 50 something years old, 53, whatever years old. And the words that came out of his mouth, he said, my mum. My mum. His mum died when he was 6. He's not thought about her, he's not seen her for 50 years. And he wanted to stop to do ziyarah on his mum's grave. They had no idea. And he said, my mum, I want to see her. I never had my mum properly. Do you see what he sacrificed? And then they got up, they let him have his time, and he was like, okay, we need to move on. Because his focus was the ummah. His focus was getting to Mecca and taking that over. I need to complete this mission. That was his mission. He sacrificed the world so that our ummah could be the best. So these three things, you see his physical attributes, you know his physical attributes, you see how beautiful he is. You see his behavior and his manners and his morals and his way of life, you fall in love with him even more. You see and you learn about what he sacrificed for me and you can't help but fall in love with him. Right? And this is something that we have to try to strive to do. And the last one that I'll finish with, and I don't want to, the wording of the hadith says brothers, but it means sisters as well. Right? It's just the context. The word, the Prophet ﷺ said brothers, that's why but he did it, he meant the women are included in this glad tiding as well. This hadith is not in the booklet. In the next one, inshallah, when I do the conclusion for one, I'll include it. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, I cannot wait to see my brothers. You can say sisters as well. I cannot wait to see my brothers and sisters. So the Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with them, they said, we're right here, Ya Rasulullah, we're right here. The Prophet ﷺ goes, no. Not you guys. Bal antum ashabi, you are my companions. You're not my brothers. And they said, Ya Rasulullah, describe them so we can love them. Describe them so we can love them. And he said, my brothers, they've not come yet. They're not here yet. And my sisters, I haven't had the chance to meet them. They haven't had the chance to meet me. But they love me. And I love them. And I cannot wait to meet them. And they said, how will you recognize them on the Day of Judgment when there's so many of us? And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, if I had a flock of horses, if I had thousands of horses in front of me, but only few of the horses had white foreheads, had white hooves, had white elbows, will I not recognize those horses from the black ones? And they said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, of course you will recognize them. Because on the Day of Judgment, my brothers and my sisters, their faces will be shining, their arms will be shining, their hair will be shining, their feet will be shining because of the wudu that they used to do. And because they used to make wudu properly, I will recognize them from that on the Day of Judgment, and I will feed them from my fountain, which is given to me, and I will feed them and quench their thirst, so they'll never be thirsty again, ever again. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ, he is eager to meet us. I hope that we are as eager to meet him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم.